last problem. Okay, so for our last problem today, we have a problem from the KoMaL A775 where I have a bunch of points in 3 space such that whenever I reflect a point across another point, so it's closed under like y maps to 2y minus x, I guess. And I need to show it's either dense in the real numbers or I can find equidistant parallel planes that cover H. Actually, this doesn't seem that bad. So, no, I think this might be fine actually, because we can see how to do the one-dimensional version, right? Like, in the one-dimensional version, this is it's like you have a subset of R, and my board isn't showing up. There we are. In the one-dimensional version, you have a subset of R, and we're told that like y maps to 2y minus x or something. And let's say without loss of generality, close under midpoints. Done. Well, okay. So we're gonna say I'm gonna let like I mean, as long as I have 2 points, I feel like this should actually be pretty easy. I feel like let's do the 1D case first. I feel like I better be able to work this case out because it contains the... Yeah, I think you just call it a Q module or Q vector space. But it's not, actually. I don't think that's what it is. I think it is Z module? I don't know. Anyways, given U and V, basically what happens is you can at least get all the points that are like this. So if we assume without loss generality that one of the points is at 0, let's say, then in general, okay, if I fix one of the points at 0 just for concreteness, does that make my life worse? I think that makes my life worse, actually. I should just think about what combinations are possible to get. But it's this picture. I'm assuming they want countably finite. Yeah. I'm assuming you want countable, yeah. Otherwise, this problem's dumb. Screen appears zoomed in. Zoom out a little. Can I get a parallelogram thing where like if I have like if I have this point, and then this point, do I get this point somehow? Is there a way? What do I get? Okay, I get something that's almost as good. I get like reflect here. Okay, so I can reflect around here to get here. Okay, so I have a... I almost have a parallelogram thing, I think. It's not quite that, but it's pretty close. Oh, you're saying the statement is cut. Oh, I see. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, okay, so if you take the point, if you assume it's not dense, then there are points arbitrarily, there's like some girth epsilon. Man, okay. Oh, this is going to be so annoying to write out. But okay, because I have a translation property where given like x and y, you can move them to like, hang on. How did I get this point? This is called z. This is like 2z minus x. This is 2z minus x plus y. No, that's not what it is. This is like 2z minus 2x. Okay, that's just stupid. But I should have a translation property. So if yeah, okay. I'm going to split this into two parts. One is I'm going to show that this, in the 1D case, I'm going to prove that the infimum of possible distances is 0, meaning there's... Okay, sorry. I'll prove that there is a cluster point, unless it's like... If... What am I trying to say? Prove that if it's not a discrete, prove if not discrete, then there is a cluster point, and then given a cluster point, prove dense. I think that's the way you want to go. I think those are the only two possibilities. So discrete means that it's like evenly spaced multiples of like something or other. Does that work? I feel like I've done this before and I never... Sorry, I think discrete's not what I want to use. I want to say no smallest distance. So if there is a smallest distance, take the pair with the smallest distance. And then you can get the reflections, and then it's not possible to add any more new points. So now I'm going to assume there's no smallest distance. So there are pairs of arbitrarily close to each other, and I want to show there is a cluster point. So that means, in fact, any point should be a cluster point. So I'm just going to say arbitrarily pick... Let's pick one particular fixed point, call it like P0 or something. And that means there's like epsilons. For every epsilon, there's something like this. Actually, this is stupid. What am I doing? Just like... Well, whatever. Well, we came this way, so I'll just do it. So if there's arbitrarily small distances, you tessellate those distances, you can get even smaller ones. And you go all the way to P0, so now things like cluster near here. And once you have a clustering near here, you can, I guess, send it back out. It doesn't even matter. In R, what happens is if there's any distance less than epsilon, then every point will have a point within epsilon of it. So that's how you do the R. That's how you do the R case. That took way longer than it should have. Okay. So what is the 2D case? Yeah, the one-dimensional case is kind of silly because, like, if say there's 2 points that are 0.1 distance apart, then every point has a point within 0.1 of it. Yeah. Okay, so now let's do the 2D case just because I don't want to draw a 3D case. I can't imagine the 3D case will be different from the 2D case. I think there's no situation in which like somehow the 2D case is easier than the 3D case. So in the 2D case, I want to start with the same thing, which is assume there's no smallest distance. Ooh, actually, okay. We're going to do two kinds. There's a smallest. Suppose there's a smallest distance, delta, and then also suppose there is a oh Jesus Christ. Okay, we're going to run with it, and no smallest distance. These are the two cases. I'm not sure this is actually the correct way to split it, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so if there is a smallest distance delta, then actually this line is well controlled. This will be regularly spaced delta exactly, because otherwise you can get a smaller thing. And now suppose there's a point off that line. Shoot. Shoot. Crap. This might get dicey really fast. Yeah, I think smallest distance is not literally what we want here. Yeah, distance is not a good metric, I think. Either that or I'm gonna have to adjust like the y coordinate. Smallest distance to the line. Does that not finish? Does it finish? So if I consider the closest point, the thing is there may not be a closest point, right? If there isn't, then that means there's always like a point. Do you manually convert some LaTeX? I have a script that does the conversion for me. Okay, I agree that if there is a shortest, like if there is a shortest distance here, like if there's a shortest one again, then I agree we're done, because now, well, honestly, if there's a shortest distance between like in this coordinate, then everything's contained in here. The tricky bit is if there's like a lot of points that are if there isn't a shortest one, I'm not sure what happens. Also, I just realized that I've been talking about smallest distance delta, but I think it's not obviously the case that a smallest distance exists. Like, you can imagine maybe there's a situation in which you can get distances strictly greater than 1, but there's no actual pair that's distance 1. So I have to actually think about that as well. I probably want infimum then, right? Instead of... That's really dicey. Is there any such one? Oh. So, okay, the 1D case is a little problematic. Are you guys having a fight in my Discord server again? Jesus. Kids these days. I don't remember how you configured. Okay, whatever. Doesn't that mean reflecting blue points gets a delta space? Oh, wait, sorry, you're right. You're right. Yeah, yes, okay, I agree. So if there is a smallest distance delta, then we're not in this case here, where because you can get the green line very close and then do a bunch of reflections to get something that's like delta spaced. Well, it's like 2 delta spaced, but that should be fine. Okay, so we're not in this situation. All right, so this is fine. All right, so what if okay, so now suppose you get a bunch of things that go to 0 and we want to be in the dense case here. Except we might not be, right? Because the problem is you could have like Asia's just exactly a line. But either way, this means that every line is dense. Every line dense. Yeah, so what I need to do is like you need a direction for this, I think. So Hmm. Oh, is it that bad? Yeah, so every line is dense is what? No, every line that... Shoot. No, that's not true. Because you're not necessarily dense in... Shoot, okay, I'm not convinced every line is dense, actually. I think I want something like... Suppose there is a direction for which the projections are not dense. Right, so you consider all the rotations, and if I want to show that if it's dense in every direction, like if for every direction I throw it, yeah, I want to say if for every projection the image you get is dense, then the whole set is dense. Is that a true fact? I feel like this might be false. But you have a set of points in the plane. So I imagine it's like a sheet of paper or something. And it's like for every direction, you have a dense thing. So in particular, there's points with y coordinates in all the directions you want, points with x coordinates in all the directions that you want. And I want to claim that if every direction is dense, then you are okay. And is that true? Yeah, is that even true? It has to be true if the problem is going to be true, though, right? So if you're dense in every projection, then the whole set is dense. Because why? No, wait, this is false. What am I talking about? No, wait. No. Well, okay. I guess that means, like, suppose we have a hole? Suppose there's a hole somewhere, and so, like, there's no points in here or something. So I actually need the condition further. I need the 2y minus x, because if I punch a hole on the plane, that's a thing that can happen. But this thing will give me a lot of holes, is what's supposed to happen. Shoot, I don't know if this is strong enough. Right, so every time I see a point, there's a corresponding reflected hole. So there's a bunch of holes everywhere. The holes are dense in every direction, I guess. Jesus Christ. So maybe I should just be looking at the center of the hole then. It's like, okay, I have a point, and I can reflect this point over any blue point to get another red point. And like there's a radius epsilon, that doesn't matter. Okay, so I am dense in every direction. So, crap, the vectors are so crappy. Crap. Wait, somehow we carry this through. You have a red point, and if I have a red point and a collection of blue points dense in every direction, and I can reflect a red point to a blue point, then I need to prove that the red points are dense. I think this is equivalent to the problem. So, starting from red. So I can get a red point, see, the thing is you can, if the blue points just lie on a line, for example, then you're actually dense in every direction except one. So, it's kind of hanging by a thread. Even new two non-parallel dense lines. You get a dense plane? Wait, why? I want to know. Keep reflecting one of the dense. Oh! What the heck? Wow, that's very smart. Okay, good job. That works. I concede that that is correct. Wait, does that solve a problem then? Because now I feel like... So, for the 2D case, what I say is, if there are if you are dense in... Yeah, if you're dense in... If you're not dense in some direction, then cut lines that way, using the 1D case. Otherwise, you get the whole plane is dense. And for the R3 case, you should be able to do the same thing, right? Because what you say is, now instead of directions, well, it's directions, and what you say is, if there exists any plane for which the projections are... No, hang on. I'm confused now. No, I think dense line is not... Okay, two non-parallel dense lines, not directions. So I guess I shouldn't project. I guess I shouldn't project then, right? Yeah, don't project. Screw that. So if there's at most one direction of lines for which it's dense, you're okay. If there's two directions, you're okay. If there's no direction... No, I'm confused. I think what I've learned is that I'm not supposed to project. Alright, where are we at? So... two non-parallel dense lines. So not projecting. Then you're okay. And if you have then what? The smallest distance. You get points are close. Okay, so smallest distance case I also agree is okay. Just 2D. And so dense lines all parallel is also okay by induction. It's also okay. So I want to show these three cases exhaust everything. So if there are no, well, no, actually, I feel like I don't even need to say that. Just if there are no dense lines at all, then whenever I take 2 points, the line is like a discrete thing. So it has to be a lattice, right? In that situation. I feel like I don't even need this case. Is that true? I feel like, well, okay, I guess the lattice is also small as this, but I feel like if you're not in this case, then like lattice. Because if no line is dense, then you take two, um, how do you use a condition that the line is dense? For which part? Yeah, lattice is fine. Okay, let me make sure I got that right. So if there are no dense lines at all, then whenever I take two lines, I'll get like a lattice. Just whatever. And if I add like another point in, we're in 2D right now, yeah. The line is dense to prove what line of minds is saying. If there are no dense lines, then there's some min distance. Wait, so why is that true? If there's min... well, I feel like if every line is... Oh, hang on. It could be true. I agree. Crap. Yeah, okay. That sounds right. Is there no minimum distance? Why is there no minimum distance? Yeah, so we actually need to use the reflection condition a lot. I was hoping to just mess with that one. Yeah. But I think that's correct that there's probably no dense lines in there. Like, I think that's almost certainly dense in the plane and probably doesn't have any dense lines in it. Because you're just Q independent, so you'll never get any useful dependency. think. Yeah. So then dense lines is too brittle, I think. Because I think you can get a dense set in the plane that has no dense lines. So it's not true we're going to just end up with a lattice. Even though that's what we want. How strong is it if we know that there's at least if we know that there's no dense lines, how useful is that? Because now I'm worried that like this case is like not actually any easier. Ah, crap. Okay. Wait, if you have two dense lines, it's also clear, right? You just copied the same proof. So if you have two full lines, you get a full plane. If you have two dense lines, you get a dense plane. That's all. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is that we're pretty sure that you can't promise dense lines, even if you're not in a... Certainly there exists a dense set in the plane with no lines, actually. I think this is true. You can get a dense set in R squared with the property that there's no three collinear points. So ty minus x is like very important somehow for getting the denseness. But I don't know how you're gonna do it. Will you code Python today? Probably not. It was a good run. I thought we might have something, but yeah, dense line is way too strong, I think. Is there a dense plane with a reflection condition with no dense lines? I think so. Yeah, what you do is like, the way you construct a dense set with no lines is you just kind of throw in points one at a time, avoiding all the lines. And if you also, when you do the throwing in step, make sure that your points are all Q independent, then it will follow that you cannot get any non-trivial collinearities. Right, the reflection will get you 3 lines, but the vectors are all linearly independent, so you don't get any additional lines. In other words, for every pair of points, you have 1 line consisting of the evenly spaced whatevers along that line, I think. Is that true? Yeah. And I think you get no other collinearities. Correct, which is, yeah, those aren't dense lines, which is the problem. Like, we thought maybe that if there's no dense lines, then the set of points is just like a lattice or something easy like that, and this is just not true, I think. As long as you rig the... No, clear. Because I feel like you just make sure the points are linearly independent as Q vectors, and as long as you have linear independence, I agree there exists arbitrarily small distances. I don't agree that the reflection condition then promises a dense line after that. Does it? There's no way you can get them all on a line, right? You can get them like close to a line. You can't get them on the line. Yeah, because the problem is like having a dense line is like it means you have a ton of points with like equal x coordinates, say, and that's like really strong. Probably in reality, it's more like the points have a dense set of x coordinates or something like that. But you know, even countable sets are often dense, so there's no reason to expect that like one particular coordinate is going to like have a ton of points on it. You expect like every coordinate to have like 1 point on it. Ish. Yes. To learner's question, the answer is yes. And it basically amounts to if you believe the axiom of choice, then your intuition is formalized, go nuts. Yeah. Yeah, I am worried about dense lines. I feel like you want to say something like I don't know if there's a word for it. You want a fuzzy line or something like that. You want to say there's I don't know. I don't know if there's a word for it. There's a line such that for every point on the line, there's a point within epsilon of it or something like I don't know. So it's like this fuzzy strip or something is what you actually want. If you can get a fuzzy strip, you would be okay. Is that true? Yeah, fuzzy strip. So is it still true if I have two fuzzy strips, then the whole thing is dense? That's true, right? Because the fuzz doesn't hurt you that much. And if the fuzzy strips are all parallel, they're also, I mean, okay, then... the case you run into trouble is if all the fuzzy strips are all parallel, then you kind of die. I think. Well, okay. Okay, in the fuzzy strip, if you have a bunch of fuzzy strips that are all parallel, you can say... Okay, we should first define fuzzy strip properly. So definition... Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So definition, a fuzzy strip is a line L such that for every point P and L and for every epsilon greater than 0, there's a point like near it. Okay, and so there's like there's a fuzzy strip that's like actually fuzzy, and then you can imagine there's some fuzzy strips that are really just lines. So there's, you know, it's sharp. Anyways, so the case we're worried about is one like fuzzy strips only in one direction and no fuzzy strips at all. So if you have a bunch of fuzzy strips and they're all parallel, you can see if any of them is really sharp. Yeah, because as you said, if there's points that are like off the line that are close, like if any of them has like little guys like this, then by reflecting this point across like that, you should be able to get like another fuzzy strip in like this general direction. The epsilon might change is the thing that's dicey, I think. So if I'm delta here, and there's... No, actually it doesn't even... The epsilon doesn't even change. So if epsilon here, now I have a fuzzy strip that's 2 delta away with epsilon. So I think in this way, if you have fuzzy strips that are all parallel, And actually, if you have a fuzzy strip and just like a point that's close to it, you should be okay. That should just be fine. You'll get dense. So the problem comes, okay, what if there are no fuzzy strips? Can we claim that now we have a lattice? That I am not sure. But that gives us at least a little more wiggle room to work with, because previously we only had a very weak condition of no dense lines. Now we instead have no fuzzy strips. And I think... I am not sure, actually. We also might not have actually set the definition up correctly, I think. I'm not sure. I feel like the counterexample definitely contains fuzzy strips. There's enough points that I think there's no way that... It's because it's dense, right? The counterexample is dense, so there are definitely fuzzy strips, because, like, literally, it's actually dense. Yeah, so it's just a question of, like, if there's no fuzzy strips, can we want to prove that it's a lattice. That's what we hope. Because if not, we're screwed. If there's no fuzzy strips, and it's not a lattice, I think we're in trouble. It would also suffice to prove it's dense, I guess. Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase. We want to show if there's no fuzzy strips, then either dense or, like, lattice. And we're hoping that dense never shows up, because I don't think we can prove dense off. Doesn't fuzzy strips seem a little weird? I don't know. Yeah, I agree, it sounds weird. And I don't think we have many options here. Because, like, dense line doesn't... dense line is too rigid, is the problem. Oh yeah, dense necessarily has fuzzy... Okay, yeah, I agree. So we want to show fuzzy... No fuzzy strips implies lattice. Well, okay, actually, sorry. I take that back again. In a lattice, there are fuzzy strips. No, sorry. No fuzzy strips implies lattice. Is that true? Okay, that's what we're banking on. Really what we want is no fuzzy strips implies contained in lines. Okay, let's go for it. So, suppose there is no fuzzy strips. I take a point. Thing. Okay, so you get to start at least a lattice. Of points, of sorts, I guess. Reflect. 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 How can I get this point by reflection? Are there some points I don't get with this process of reflecting? That feels pretty bad to me if we're like missing some points. But I guess you never get odd, right? If you coordinatize it, then wait, no, that can't be true. Really? I guess you never get odd. Okay. So you get like some almost lattice. I mean, if you zoom out by a factor of 2, then it's a lattice. So lattice. So every pair of non-collinear vectors Yeah, it better be true or the problem's not true. Okay, how do I prove this? Okay, well, I want to claim if I have a third vector and the associated lattice, then I run into problems. Because it's like if you have three linearly independent vectors like this, there's just no way, right? There's a... The problem is that with these two things, I can't literally add them up. I wonder if the idea is something like the following. So if I have three linearly independent vectors, let's say u vector, v vector, then I can find real numbers such that this statement is true. And then I can try to approximate A, B, C well with rationals or something like this. I'm not sure what your drawing is. I don't know either. I mean, I just drew like 3 points to start and then started like throwing things on it. It's basically what happened. Yeah, but if you have three vectors, because of the lattice thing, I think you can get them to be really close. Maybe. Dubious. Because I can get rationals that approximate the things. No, that's not. I feel like I should know how to do this. If I have three linearly independent vectors, why can't I get combinations that are close to the origin? If I have three linearly independent ones. Also, why did I say I got this point? How did I get this point? By reflecting. Oh, yeah. Wait, okay, so there's a fact that I need, which is definitely true, and for some reason I don't see how to prove it. So claim U, V, W linearly independent in R squared. Then Z U plus Z can be arbitrarily close to origin. Yeah, two linearly independent over in R squared. Am I in trouble if they're cubed? Actually, hang on. No, even R linearly independent is fine, I think. Just like three vectors that like don't point in the same direction. How do I not know how to prove this? Shame on me. Affine transformed one of them to 1, 0 and the other one to 0, 1. So then you have a vector that's floating around in... So a line with irrational slope. Okay, so it's that thing. Yeah, okay, fine. Three linear... Oh, sorry. Okay, Q linear independent. My bad. What am I talking about? Q linearly independent. Yeah, okay. One of them is 1, 0, the other 0, 1, and then it's like the line has a slope. Okay. Yeah, so like imagine like this is 1 0, right? And this is 0 1. This is 1 1 or something. And this is like some vector. So because you can add multiples of 1 and 0, you're essentially looking at like y equals alpha x, where alpha is irrational. And it should be clear this gets close to lattice points by slope arguments. Just like that pigeonhole, whatever that you get taught. KoMaL is a journal? Yeah, I think KoMaL is a math journal. I forget which country it's primarily based in. I want to say it's either Russia or Hungary. Oh, it's another one of those. Come on, where's my ban button? Do I not have a ban button? Oh, here it is. Ban. Okay, so no fuzzy line should give you a lot of... Maybe? Can you have a lot of Q independent vectors? Or Q dependent vectors? I guess that means they're contained in a lattice. Wait, is it possible to just have like a large set that's Q dependent? Well, if the set is big enough, then... Crap. Wait, why ban? Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure buying subs and whatever is definitely against the terms of service. You don't want to mess with the black market. All right. So we can assume they're all Q dependent. And is Q dependent help us that much though? Oh yeah, it was like go to this URL to buy subs and whatever. Yeah, some very obviously legitimate website, you know? Crap. What do I do now? No fuzzy. We want no fuzzy line to give a lattice. We know if there's Q independence, you die. Should I just be looking at the smallest distance after all? I think I should just look at the smallest distance after. Or, no, sorry, there's no smallest. There might not be a smallest distance. But. Hey, I think I'm stupid and like the Q depend. Okay, I think what I actually wanted to write was like U, V, and W are vectors in R squared, no two of which are linearly dependent. right? Because my proof doesn't actually use the Q part. That's what I actually wanted to write. UVW, no 2 collinear. Oh, wait, no, that's just false. Never mind. Nah. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, W can just be like U plus V. Yeah, sorry. I don't know where I got that idea from. But, okay, it should be true that if you have a bunch of Q-dependent vectors, they like... Well, you have a bunch of Q-dependent vectors, and they are... each line that we have is a... So any line that I draw, because we assume there is no... fuzzy line, or hang on. Shoot. We assume there's no fuzzy line, right? So we can just say like, okay, we build this lattice, and then we're contained in like this pretty well-behaved lattice of like things of the form like QV plus QW, so like points with rational coordinates. And that, I feel like that's so well behaved that we should just win. Right? Like either there are arbitrarily small coordinates or there aren't. There's no fuzzy line, so every point needs to have like some gap or something. Alright, close to origin might not get fuzzy line. Maybe, I'm not sure. Oh, man, I knew today was going too well. Yeah. The thing is, like, no fuzzy line definitely implies lattice. Like, 100%. That's gotta be true. I just don't see how to prove it. Which is weird. Like, it feels like I should be able to just prove it. See. If you have points arbitrarily close to the origin, I feel like you can... I feel like you would be able to do some crappy compactness argument too. Like you say, like, you can find a bunch of points that are close to the origin and also like within a certain sector. So that will promise a certain set of rays is like epsilon fuzzy for some epsilon. Like there's a closed interval for which the line through the origin is epsilon fuzzy, I think. And then you take the common intersection of all the closed intervals as epsilon is like 1 over n or something. Is that remotely plausible? I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch. Yeah, you might be able to do some compact type thing though, because I feel like here I want to use the fact that the real numbers is compact. Or no, sorry, the real numbers are locally compact is what I want to say. Yeah, but I think it should be true if you look at the direction that things go to the origin in. If you define epsilon fuzzy as the same thing except your epsilon threshold is fixed now instead of allowed to vary, you should be able to find a closed subinterval of the unit circle such that the lines through the origin in that direction are 1 over n fuzzy. And because these intervals are nested, that will give you a fuzzy line period. I think that should be true. This is the sketchiest test thing I've ever come up with. This is the sketchiest thing I've ever come up with. Oh my god. But I think that's true, right? And then what you use is that use the nice fact about the real numbers that if you have a bunch of nested closed intervals, even infinitely many closed intervals, the intersection is not empty. So that gives you a fuzzy line in some direction. And then you're okay. I'm not totally sure about the 1 over n fuzzy claim. I need to like think about it a little more, but I think it should be true that if you have a bunch of stuff, like if you're, what's the condition I want? If you are a subgroup of R squared that is not a lattice, then you can get 1 over n's fuzzy lines. Yeah, no, it's... Super Gaussian noble. What is Mob 2011? Like, what's the statement? Yeah, I may write this. I might not also just decide that this is too painful to write up, but I think, yeah, the thing about intersection of closed intervals being non-empty is like pretty strong. Gauss line. Oh, you should probably use like Pascal. If it's the problem I'm thinking of. Oh, actually no, hang on. If it's on LMGO, it's not that one. I forget. Build a parallelogram, I think. Yeah, I claim there's a closed... Yeah. To put nasty to put us on this problem. Well, here we are. That's KoMaL. Is it true? Is this true? I think it should be, right? Maybe it's not an interval. I feel like what I want to do is say like look at look like an interval array or whatever, which is has a lot of points in it, which exists by pigeonhole. Right, like one of the sectors is still dense inside that sector. So there's points in this sector that are very close to the origin, and then you take like a line through there or something like that, and then there's a lot of points in the sector, so it's like within that array or something. You know, maybe the definition I want is not epsilon fuzzy in this case. It's like there's dense cones. Like you can get cones that are dense because the span of a positive z span of like vectors lies inside that included angle. So you can get you can get little sectors for which like there's a bunch of points inside the angle that's spit out. And now you take the closed intersection. You take the intersection of all of them. They're closed things. So now you have a line that is like has a bunch of things near it for any epsilon, because if you're at distance d away, you pick the angle for which the cotangent lands you within d. I think that's how it should go. So sorry, wrong definition of epsilon fuzzy. I think you want cones. Is what's going on. And then you do back magic. Okay. Can you chill out? Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing either. This is like beyond my capability of... This is beyond what I am usually comfortable with in terms of analysis, because... analysis. Okay, you have origin, and then there's like... We're assuming that there's points close to here, right? And we're also assuming that it's closed under like addition, basically. So you can assume closed under addition if you're willing to eat a factor of 2. And you can also, we're also assuming it's like dense near origin. Okay, so we'll say that like, we'll say like an arc here, like this. This is called like good. If the points are like, if it's like dense in here. So there's infinitely many points arbitrarily close lying in this little arc. And for any finite data, you know, by pigeonhole, one of the arcs is good. So what you now do is you take like an arc inside here that's still good. So now it's like within here, and so on. Yeah, dense. Not just infinitely many things inside it, but also infinitely many things inside it close to 0. So like the circle with radius epsilon should like, yeah. Okay, so now you do this with datas that are like, you keep having them, and eventually you get like a straight line that's in their intersection because real numbers are complete. So you have superline here with a property that for any little angle around it, you can find a lot of points with the close to the origin and within that angle. And that means if I'm standing over here and I want to be within epsilon here, what I do is I like take the angle that corresponds to this cotangent, look for points that are really, really close to the origin, and then like dilate them out. And in this way, under these two green hypotheses, which I think should be true, assuming it's not a lattice, we now have a fuzzy line. Okay. Right, so these two conditions, closed under addition and dense near the origin, should be true for any not lattice. Closed under addition, well, we're given closed under addition. So the claim is that any not lattice is dense near some point. I think that should just be true. Why is this true? Can I just say look at like smallest distances and like do something? Yeah. I think it should work. So there's pairs of distances that are arbitrarily close, and then you can translate them because it's closed under addition as a lattice. Okay, so there's arbitrarily small distances, and because of the lattice, the translation condition, it's linear. So all I need now is, so dense near origin is implied as long as arb small distance is true. So now all I need to show is that no arb small distance implies lattice plus additive, and this should be fine because I mean, I think this is just true. Where's the Twitch time in? It's pretty hard to find. I'm surprised anyone found it. Well, actually, no, I think people should find it eventually. But, yeah, okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so what I want, it's like I want to show no arbitrarily small distance implies lattice, and that should be true, because that means that all your points have a lot of space around them, and so it's got to be a lattice, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah. Okay, so now that I've worked very hard on this, do we believe this ports to 3 dimensions? I think it should be fine, right? Because you replace fuzzy line. Actually, maybe you keep fuzzy line. Frick, what do you do with 3D? You have a... So the lattice thing should still be true. So if this are small distances, again, it's dense near the origin, and you can get a fuzzy line. If you have a fuzzy line, I want to get fuzzy planes or something. Jesus Christ. Okay, if you have a fuzzy line, frick. Oh crap, that's really bad. Is the notion I want fuzzy plane? Is that what I need? Same again. Okay, yeah. Do I want fuzzy line or fuzzy plane? Fuzzy line. Shoot, hang on. Let me make sure I get this right. It should be okay. If you have a fuzzy line in R3, so there's like little points and stuff around it, that should tile up. You might need fuzzy plane. Without loss of generality, H is closed. Sure. You might need both. I think, yeah. Alright. Okay, but this should be fine. Ooh. And this is why I don't do analysis. Alright, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say this is fine. And I will probably never write this up because I think it's gonna take too much of my time. Yeah, two non-parallel fuzzy planes is good. Yeah, alright. Alright, thanks everyone for sticking it out. If someone wants to try writing it up and sending it to me, I will post it. If not, I will put it on my to-do list and probably never get to it because that to-do list never gets shorter. What a problem. Alright. Do you have a solution / write-up? That's a long shot. Well, I think what we do at this point is if you want the formal write-up, you should Google classification of subgroups of a plane. That will probably do it. For the problem. Probably not offhand. Alright, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time. I think definitely there's going to be a stream next week. There might not be a stream on September 3rd because I might be flying back to Boston around then. Oh, there is a reference. Nice. That was an arduous first stream. You came for the hard part. The first part consisted of me solving like 2 problems in like 5 minutes each and then like another 2 problems in like 20 minutes each. So the first half of this stream was really, really smooth. And then we got this. Yeah. That's my daily dose of a real analysis. Alright, see y'all next week. Thanks for coming through.